Hello and welcome back to our series of interviews with Euros members across the world. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Dino Isernia from A2Z Relocations in Italy. Dino, where exactly are you and how are things at the moment?
We are, well, thank you very much. It's nice to be here to see you all, to see you, Dominic, and thanks for the invitation. We are in the south of Italy, actually located very, very close to the wonderful Amalfi Coast.
Stunning.
So we're just down the road from some of the most beautiful places you can even imagine on the south of Italy. So we are fortunate that, unfortunately, we can only smell it, not see it at the moment, but it's that's good enough. That's good enough.
And tell me what restrictions are still in place? Has anything changed, or are you still on the very tough lockdown nationally?
Yeah, we're still on phase one, which is the as you said before, we're still on the strict lockdown, just essential things to be done. It looks like phase two on the 4th of May, but we still don't have any policy or requirements. We still don't know what that means, or what's going to open, what's not going to open. So, but look, something's going to happen until on the 4th of May.
I mean, it's very interesting how, I mean, I've been having this conversation with a few people, how governments are reacting in different ways to giving people deadlines. I mean, from the point of view of, you know, the length of the lockdown and the severity of the lockdown in Italy, is it, I mean, are you thinking that it's quite important that you do have these like milestones of hope? How are the people responding?
Well, it's I don't think you have other ways of thinking at this moment. Unfortunately, there's a very high respect between the people of respecting what the lockdown measures are. But there's also obviously a lot of frustration, as there is everywhere else in the world, I think. The non-communication, the non-news is starting to become a little bit deafening, you know, for people who have businesses, for families. I think they've made a decision to shut down schools. It's not going to open up until September, if so. And that, we've seen that to be a very good soothing point for us who are our parents and families in general. But we hope they can use the same measurement of opening up, you know, industries and the economic side of this phase.
September, wow! So that has been put in place. You know that the kids aren't going back.
That's it.
Wow, that's a long time.
They're home.
How are you coping with that?
I love it because being on the road, you know, all the year, I'm absorbing all the astonishing things about kids and about the wife and what goes on in the house. So I think you're a little bit more sympathetic now.
Interesting, isn't it? I mean, again, just talking to people, as I'm sure you have as well, it's it is a matter of finding the positive in, you know, the most surreal of situations.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, there must be something positive of being home with your kids, yeah. So we have to look forward. You know, there's no way looking back.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, when this happened, and you know, how much? First of all, how much notice did you realistically have about the lockdown when it went national, as opposed to being in the north of Italy? And were you able to, you know, to get yourself and your team organised in time?
Well, as I said before, I have a facility manager background and working for the U.S. Navy for over nearly 30 years. We've gone through, you know, our contingency plans were very well put together. So, you know, we came from 9/11, Iraq, terrorism. So let's say that type of contingency has always been in the back of my mind. So we always look at the worst case scenario, know what's going to happen or maybe. So we totally were surprised in a certain way, the way it was done. The shutdown was only placed in the Lombardy area, not in the south of Italy.
Yeah.
And those 2 days, hell broke loose because we had those running from Lombardy to the south of Italy, and that's where a lot of the disease actually came down to us in the south. So I would say we were prepared as A2Z, and my family, we were very quite prepared, but I don't think nationally we were prepared of locking the city down. So
I mean, again, yeah, because we were talking before the call, and in a way, I was saying to you how, the experience that Italy had and the intensity and speed of the lockdown, certainly our government in the UK, we're not looking at that and going, oh, we should probably be thinking about this in the next few weeks at all. Rather than taking the fast response that the Italian government implemented, other countries just waited and then waited and then, and now here we are. From that point of view, do you see the restrictions in Italy phasing out maybe slightly faster than in other places? And where are you in terms of the curve now?
I think we're way beyond the curve, way beyond, I wouldn't say way beyond. I think we're beyond the curve at the moment. I think the 4th of May is our D-Day, is to find out what is going to open up, what industries will open. There's a lot of speculation, but at the moment, we really don't know anything, apart from the schools. What's going to open up and how it's going to open up.
And they haven't given you any indication on changes to freedom of movement come the 4th of May?
Well, it's all speculations.
Right.
Most of it is still, the restrictions are going to be the same, but they are saying that there's going to be a little bit more free of movement, always with social distancing, and giving you the possibility to go out and go for a walk, some sports, but we're really not sure. So we're not counting on what the media is saying at the moment.
I mean, it's very interesting how governments are, again, approaching this in different ways, and we were talking before the call about the cultural aspects of it. I mean, in Germany, Switzerland, you're getting deadlines. This is what's going to happen on the 4th of May. You will be able to go out in groups of 10, blah, 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 whatever it might be. And in the UK, there's nothing. And our government is being very honest about saying we're not giving any deadlines because we don't know how people will respond to them. If you say, oh, yes, you can gather in larger numbers, then maybe people will think, well, if it's next week, we might as well do it now. So do you know what I mean? There's a really weird tension here. In terms of, I was talking to Alex Brits in South Africa, and she said the same thing that you said to me on the call. You can see the sea at the end of the street, but you can't go and walk on the beach. That must be very hard.
It is hard, but we know it's going to be there. So we know it's when all of this ends, and it's going to end. That's the best part. We know it's going to end, and it'll still be there. So we'll look forward to that.
How has the Italian government? I was talking to Luca a couple of weeks back. What have you been able to, or have you been able to access any financial aid and support from the government? How has that worked?
There has been some aid, obviously economically, nothing realistic, I would say. It really doesn't. There are some, but it's not realistically how much it would cost to actually stay home and close down a business. That's what we've done. We've closed down a business, and some of the payments have been, let's say, extended, and they're not going to go away. There are some schemes for some companies or individuals and most of those schemes do not fit the glove that you wear. So I think it's on overall average, we're quite disappointed with what's happening in Italy. Of course, even because we've been the worst hit in Europe. So I think something even European-wise, European Economic Community should have happened, and nothing happened. So we are disappointed. I think the majority are disappointed of the aid.
I'm not surprised, and I mean also from the point of view that this has gone on, for so long, because your government did react very fast. That is disappointing on two levels, I'm sure. But I was just going to say we in the UK things are slightly better than that. But even so, one of the things that we were talking about before the call is how can we lobby governments to make sure that that when things do open up, assignees are given travel priorities necessarily. If it's talking about talent mobility, and we're actually about to roll out a project, but you'll find out about that next week. We're sending some stuff out, and then we're doing some sessions on a virtual conference, because that's really key. When this does open up, like you say, which industries are going to be given priority? And given that our industry is pretty under the radar, the work that's been done here by the DSPs has actually been very useful, and we're hoping to sort of spread that out amongst Euro members in other countries as a template.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to understand how things work. Hopefully it's a little bit more smooth when you have economic backup from a government. Obviously, I'm not, I'm one of those who I don't want money from the government. I just want them to support and let us get on with what we need to do. Money from the government, I would prefer that they put that money to something to do better, to buy, to buy masks, the machines that we didn't have, and so I think there's a really long way to go government-wise. But us in an industry or any industry, that's all we want. We want to work. That's all we want to do.
Absolutely, and it is such a fine balance between, like we were saying, I was talking to Lena and Johanna from the Immersion in Sweden, and they've gone down the herd immunity route. Everything is still functioning. Obviously, our industry there is just as impacted as it is anywhere else, because aviation isn't working. But it's the speed at which governments take the decision between the risks of the virus and the risks of everything else. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Italy. Do you have any speculation about what,
Not really. Unfortunately, the government is very, very good at keeping the things. Like you said, like the English government is using a little bit more of a prudent approach. I think maybe they're getting that from our government or other governments. But, to be honest, setting the expectations, that's what we do in business. So I think governments can do a little bit better, try to set the expectation as well. I don't think it's a good excuse saying, well, if you don't say anything, then we can't get blamed for something. But I think, as we set the expectations in our business for our clients, customers, I think they could do a little bit more of a job of setting the expectations or managing the expectation.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And again, it remains to be said. I think you obviously will, when we do come out of this, we'll all be debating it for years. What?
I'm afraid so. But yeah, it's. I think if we, I think Euro is a fantastic opportunity for everyone to actually, bang heads together and put the think tank or put things together and come out with something, a little bit useful. As we were saying before, things happen, and the things are going to happen, and it affects every single one of us. In either if it's in China or if it's in the UK or Italy, it will affect us. So the more tools we have, I think, the better off we are, and not just us, even the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thank you so much, Dino. It's been really, really nice to talk to you. I'm glad that you've got a deadline. I hope that, you know, after that, we'll come back together and talk about what's happened and whether you're, that would be a great result. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Dino. It's been really nice to talk with you, and take care and stay well.
Thank you very much, and it's always a pleasure. And I do want to say a word and hope and send my condolences for those who have lost anyone in the family or anyone actually involved in this coronavirus. I think we're all stuck in between, and we should be close to them. And I want to finish off with a quote from today is It Lies the Death of Shakespeare. So there's a little quote here, and I wrote it down because I can't remember. It's a wise father who knows his own child. So I think that kind of wraps off what I think should be, as we should actually be a family-oriented organization as well. Not just economic, but as a family, as we are. So my hopes are going forward that we learn something from this.
Absolutely. I mean, like you say, if you know, we have to learn from this. There's so much experiences that we're all going through from this that we must learn and take things forward. And as an organisation, that's something we're absolutely focused on. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much.
Good to see
you, Dominic.
Take care.
Ciao. Bye-bye.